Hello friends, how are you doing? I hope my videos are helping you to understand the basic of astrology and you are getting some insights to planets, signs, houses and so on. So in this planetary series I've already completed most of the planets. I'm left with Saturn which I'll complete today. I'm left with Rahu and Ketu which I'll complete in my subsequent videos. So today I'll be talking about Saturn, the most feared planet, the most dreaded planet. Most of the people who understand a little bit about astrology are really scared of Saturn because Saturn represents some of the difficult things of life, or rather, most of the difficult things of life: poverty, illness, diseases, old age, misfortune, fear, death, everything is represented by Saturn. So Saturn represents all these things. Saturn is about loss. Saturn is about separation. Saturn is about delays. So when you see all these things is represented by one planet, you will automatically get scared because there are so many difficult things and all these difficult things are represented by Saturn. Is it really a difficult planet? Is it really a bad planet? Is it really a great malefic? Is it a planet which we should really get scared of? Yes, it is a difficult planet. Yes, it is a planet which represents a lot of difficult things in life, but it is definitely not a planet you should get feared of, right? Because please understand that there is a failure that is required, or everybody in their life should face failure, should face loss, should face difficult times to grow up in life. Destruction is required for new creation. Death is required to rise again, right? Death of something I'm talking about, to rise again. Failure is the key to success. Hence, Saturn is a very important planet. Saturn is a tough taskmaster. It tells you the realities of life. It tells you to get detached from the material side of the life. Saturn is a planet which in a difficult way will take you to spirituality, which will tell you that that all this money, all this luxurious thing, all this sophisticated things are not really important. You should be humble, you should be down to earth, you should work hard, you should you should do well, and then you will grow in your life. That's what Saturn is. Whereas other planets like a Venus, for example, or a Jupiter, for example, they give you a lot of good things in life, but if you only have a strong Venus or a strong Jupiter in your chart, then you may take life very easily, and life is not a bed of roses, as they say it. So you also need a Saturn to balance out things, to help you see the difficulties and rise from it, because everybody will go through, as I have said in my previous videos as well, everybody will go through good and bad time. So it is important that a strong Saturn will give you that difficult time and will also simultaneously make you a better person, because it is a tough taskmaster. It's a tough teacher. It will hit you hard and tell you that this is what the reality of life is. Please understand and walk accordingly. That's what Saturn is for you. Now, coming to houses, Saturn does really well in the Upachya houses: the third house, the sixth house, the 11th house, and to some extent the 10th house. These are the places where Saturn does really well. Saturn is a planet of delays. Saturn is a planet, wherever it is present, it delays or it destroys that part of your life. So if it is present in a sixth house, for that matter, it delays diseases, it delays litigations, it defeats your enemies. So that's what Saturn is, or destroys your enemies. So it's very good in the sixth house. It's great in the third house and 11th house as well, because these are the houses which are Upachaya house. They take a lot of time to grow. So Saturn will slowly grow in this house. Now, Saturn is also pretty decent in the 10th house, because in the Kala Purusha chart, or in the natural zodiac, 10th house is the own sign of Saturn, Capricorn. and Saturn is the natural significator of work, of hard work. So Saturn does pretty okay in the 10th house. If it is well positioned and has got good aspects, it's pretty okay in the 10th house. Now Saturn is okay in the 7th house as well. Of course, you will have a difficult married life. There is possibility that your spouse will be older than you, but there is also a possibility that the spouse can be very matured. There is also a possibility that that it will lengthen your married life, right? Saturn in 7th house gives a lot of longevity to your married life. Even if you go through a lot of difficult times, even if your married life is not a smooth marriage life, but it will give that longevity to the married life. Saturn is okay in the 8th house as well, because 8th house is about longevity, and Saturn kind of extend your life in 8th house. But the difficult side to that is it will extend your life. You live for a long time, but it may not be a great life. It may not be a smooth life. There'll be ups and downs. Now Saturn kind of struggle in the first house. Saturn struggles in the second house as well. So in most of the houses, Saturn really doesn't do really well, in basically in the good houses, because in the fifth house, in the ninth house, because it delays that matters. So in fifth house, there is a possibility that your relationship with your children may not be very good, or it may delay, you having a children, because it delays that aspect of life. So if Saturn is present in the seventh house, as I said, it's better to get married at a later stage, not to get married in your early 20s, but to get married in maybe in your late 20s or your 30s. That's the time when you should get married. So Saturn again is not very good in the 12th house like most planets. So quickly, if I want to sum it up, Saturn is very good in the Upachaya's house, the 6th house, the 11th house, the 3rd house. It is pretty okay in the 7th and 10th house as well. In all other places, it's kind of struggle, right? So Saturn in the first house can make somebody introvert. Somebody will not be very confident. But it also depends on what kind of sign is Saturn ruling, or what are the houses Saturn is present. What kind of signs is Saturn placed? Those are very important things. So for that matter, for a Taurus or a Libra ascendant, Saturn is an extremely benefic planet, because for them it rules two auspicious houses, one trine and one Kendra house, right? One quadrant, one of those 1, 4, 7, and 10, and one of 1, 5, and 9. So for Taurus ascendant, it rules your ninth and 10th house. For Libra ascendant, it rules your 4th and 5th house. So in that case, it becomes an extremely benefic planet for you. Saturn is extremely benefic for this two ascendant. It is also very good for a Capricorn or Aquarius ascendant. So for them, Saturn will generally give good results. Saturn does really well in the sign of Libra, because Saturn is exalted in Libra. Saturn does well in Taurus as well. Saturn does well in Capricorn and Aquarius because it's its own sign. Now, Saturn kind of struggles in Aries or in Scorpio, because Mars is a great enemy of Saturn, and Saturn is debilitated in Aries and doesn't do well in Scorpio. Saturn also struggles in signs like Leo, or for that matter, even in Cancer. Now, Saturn considers or doesn't do really well with Sun and Moon. Kind of, when Saturn is conjunct with a planet, it deprives the quality of that planet. Jupiter is about expansion, Saturn is about contraction. So Saturn doesn't really do well with most planets if it is conjunct with them, and in particularly with Moon, Sun, and Mars. It doesn't do well. Even with Rahu and Ketu, it kind of struggles. Now with Jupiter, what happens is that you have a planet of expansion, you have a planet of contraction, right? So that gives a very balanced character to you, or a balanced feature to that person, right? So he is usually a righteous person, a noble guy, Because, as I said in my Jupiter video as well, the ninth house of natural zodiac is ruled by Jupiter, Sagittarius, and the 10th house is ruled by Saturn, which is Capricorn. So, ninth and 10th house is about dharma and karma, right? Is about your deeds, is about your work, and is about your religion or your spirituality. So this yoga is called as dharma karma adhipati yoga. So that can make a person very balanced, very honest, a hard working guy. Saturn does pretty well with Mercury and Venus because it's a good friend of Mercury and Venus. But it's good to have Saturn alone in a chart without any conjunction. Aspect is fine. If Saturn is aspecting Mercury or Saturn is aspecting Venus, that's great. But if it is conjunct with these planets, then that can be difficulty. If it is conjunct with Moon, yeah, because Saturn is about sorrow, grief, it represents a lot of diseases as well. It can deprive your mind, so you can become a person who has a lot of anxiety or a lot of it gets scared very easily. That's what Saturn can do to a moon. And if Saturn is combined with Mars, you have a planet which is extremely aggressive, which is Mars, and you have a planet which is extremely laid back, which is Saturn. Uh, so that combination doesn't do well, right? You can have a lot of challenges because one planet is asking you to uh, be aggressive, the other planet is uh, trying to make you passive or introvert, and that's where you get confused. So guys, this is what Saturn is. If you're going through a Saturn Mahadasas, there can be a lot of difficulties you may face. There can be a lot of challenges you may face, but please understand that everybody will go through that. And when you're facing these challenges and difficulties, think that this can be a great learning experience for you. Saturn is a teacher for you. Saturn can do, if you are a guy who's humble, down to earth, and honest, Saturn will definitely help you on a long run. So do not get scared of Saturn. Rather, use Saturn as a tough taskmaster to face difficulties in your life and then move ahead, move forward by learning through these difficulties. So be humble, be down to earth, help the needy, help the poor people, because Saturn also represents the servant, the poor class of the people. Thank you for watching my video. If you like my video, please do share it. Please do subscribe to my video. Take care. Bye bye.